guys, Devin Gridley at AllFather Fitness, and today I'm going to be talking about losing fat. And I've made a lot of videos about this, but this is going to be more specific and in-depth about how to. I'm going to give you how it all works, how kind of your metabolism works, and how exactly you go through the process of losing fat. And then I'm going to go through misconceptions about fat loss, as well as certain tips and tricks you can do to kind of speed up fat loss. It's not really speeding up fat loss, but it just gives you kind of a confidence boost, as well as you'll actually be able to see results a lot faster, and it'll keep you consistent, really, and that's what matters. And to kick it off, that's really what it is no matter what you do, you're not going to lose any fat unless you're in a calorie deficit. You have to be in a calorie deficit to lose any amount of fat at all, and it's dependent upon you how much fat you want to lose within a day or a week or whatever. And I've gone over this in many videos, which I'll probably link down below or at the end of the video or up on the screen some throughout the video. But calorie deficit in an entire week, it takes 3,500 calories to lose 1 pound. So if you take out 500 calories per day, that's 3,500 calories. So you lose 1 pound of fat a day if you just eat 500 less calories a day. Now, this sounds super simple. You just eat a little bit less, but people will just fail at it. Why is that? It's because they're not consistent with it, or they do things like cheat meals when you don't have to do things like that. A lot of people think that you have to eat chicken and broccoli and rice, all 3 meals, to lose fat or something, when you don't really. You can eat McDonald's for all I care and you can lose fat if you're in a calorie deficit. That's how it works. Might not be the healthiest option, obviously, but you're going to lose fat doing that. Now the problem is people don't stay consistent with it because they don't see results. When people want to lose fat, it's usually going to be stubborn belly fat, like belly fat, back fat, stuff like that. It's the stuff that, it's just the main part of where all the fat is stored, right? But your body is going to use fat from other places, or it's going to take away fat from other places. So it's actually going to start usually around your arms and then your lower legs, and it'll basically work its way up the body, and then at the very end it'll start to use the fat that's around your midsection. And the reason this is because the fat around your midsection is used as a protective barrier, actually. This is why when women get pregnant, they get a lot of stomach fat right there and back fat, because they need extra protection to protect their child. So the body uses it as an extra layer of protection and like shock absorption, and just like another layer of armor, basically. So it doesn't want to take away from that because it protects you. It helps protect you, right? So it doesn't want to take away from that. It's going to take fat from places you don't need, such as your arms. Your arms don't need fat because it's going to weigh it down when there's no reason it could be there. You can't really weigh down your stomach because it's not moving. Like, you're not going to be constantly flexing and extending and stuff, right? So you have to stay consistent with it to where you lose all the fat in your arms and in your legs, and then it just slowly works its way up all the way to the stubborn belly fat. And as you get down the line, you're probably going to have to alter your calorie deficit. So you can't just, let's say your calorie maintenance is 2,000. That's how much you eat to not gain any weight and not lose any weight. And you take 500, so you're eating 1,500 calories a day. Over time, you're probably going to have to minimize that. Like every few months, just minimize it a little bit and a little bit. You can't just stay right there, right? So, because eventually you get lean. There's a point in which you're lean enough to where you are losing fat like crazy, and then there's a point where you get so lean that losing fat is crazy hard, because your body doesn't really have anywhere to take it from besides things like inside your bones for your marrow, for example, because you're just so shredded on the outside. But we're not really going to talk about that because that's not what most people are looking for. And yeah, but losing fat, so losing stubborn belly fat, how fat is actually lost is through, I'm not going to list like processors or scientific analysis or whatever. Basically, you have blood flow, and the blood flow will go down, and it takes energy by burning the fat. And that's what fat is. It's calories that were turned into energy because you had them in excess. So your body's going to take away from those calories. It's going to turn them back into energy, and you're going to use them. So the blood flow is just going to go. It's going to take fat from it. So the places you have more blood flow, that's where you're going to lose fat the most. So it's not really necessarily just your arms or your legs, but in particular, because those places have more muscle, such as your legs have a lot of muscle because you're always using them, basically. You're going to lose fat in that area a lot faster because there's more blood flow to that area. And this is another reason why you don't lose a lot of fat in your midsection or your back, because you don't have crazy amounts of muscle and a lot of blood flow there, as well as when you have a lot of fat, it actually blocks blood flow to a certain extent. And if it's blocking blood flow, then you can't get blood flowing to that area as good, and you're not going to lose as much fat in that area, which is why it's so hard to lose stubborn belly fat in the abdominal area. So you have to just realize that it's going to take time. You have to have discipline to eat in that calorie deficit every single day, as well as the consistency to just do it every single day. And you can't stop doing it until you get where you want. You can't quit doing it because it's going to work. If you're in a calorie deficit, it's going to work. You don't need to do anything else. You don't need to work out. You don't need to do cardio. You don't need to do body weight exercise. You don't need to do any of that except the calorie deficit. Now, there are things that help with this, such as weight training and cardio, and I'm going to go into a brief explanation of metabolism and how weight training and cardio actually affect this. And a lot of people complain about their metabolism, and I'm honestly kind of tired of hearing it. Oh, my metabolism is too fast, I can't put muscle on. Oh, my metabolism is too slow, I can't burn fat. It doesn't matter what your metabolism is, because every single person's calorie maintenance is going to be different. So you're all going to have different calorie deficits. This person might eat 3,000 calories, this person might eat 2,000 calories, because this person's metabolism is slower, but your maintenances are all different. They're not going to be the same for every person. That's not how it works. It's a scale based on your own self. It's not a scale based on the population, okay? You have to realize that and stop complaining about your metabolism. But if for some reason you feel as though you want to boost your metabolism, this is how you would do it, because metabolism works this way. Your metabolism is what burns calories without you doing any excess activity. So if you go and work out, that's burning through working out. It's not your body processes burning calories. So if you were, for example, to just sit back and watch TV all day, I can't say exactly how many calories you would burn for any given person, but you'd still burn calories because your heart has to beat, your brain has to think, your body has to pump blood throughout its system, and its muscles have to repair, and cells have to do all this. There's so many different body processes that use energy. It's not a lot, but that's how fast your metabolism is. It's dependent upon how many calories you burn in a specific amount of time just doing nothing, basically. So if you're just sitting there might be a person with a fast metabolism that's going to burn more calories really fast because maybe his heart beats faster, or he has better blood flow to certain areas, things like that. But you have a slower heartbeat, so your metabolism is technically less. So how would you go about boosting your metabolism? This is how you do it. Gain more muscle. A lot of people don't realize that weight training is just as important as cardio when it comes to fat loss, because muscle uses calories to work as well as build. You need calories to build muscle as well as for them to work. Like doing this, just curling, that used calories. It used energy to do that. When you have just fat, fat doesn't use anything to work because it's not really alive. It doesn't do anything like that. It doesn't need calories to run because it itself doesn't run. So the more muscle you have, the more calories you need to work. And the more calories you need to work, the more of a deficit you can go into, if that kind of makes sense. And the more calories you're going to burn just sitting there. Because if you have a bunch of muscle just sitting here, even if it's not being used, your blood flow is still going through all the muscles, and your muscles are constantly being repaired, and things are being broken down or repaired and digested and all this stuff. And the more muscle you have, the more body process you have and the more work your body has to do, meaning the more calories you're going to burn within a certain amount of time just sitting there, right? Now cardio, most people know what cardio does. Cardio is the best way to burn fat in any sense, as long as it gets your heart rate up, and it's for a good portion of time. You can't just get your heart rate up to 500 for 1 minute. You die, obviously, but just for example, and lose like 500 calories. That's not how it's going to work. You have to get up to like 100 and just for a good steady pace for a while, and you'll burn a lot of calories. And that's also because cardio uses a lot of body processes. Whether you're just running or walking, we'll take running for example. If you're running, you're using your arms to swing. A lot of people don't realize this. You're using your core to stabilize you while you swing. You're going to use your abdominals to actually turn a lot, as well as just hold you up properly. And how much you breathe, you're going to be breathing in a lot of air, and your heart is going to have to work faster to pump that air into blood, and it's just a whole process, just a big circle of how fast your body is working to make sure you're alive and burning calories and all that good stuff. So cardio is obviously going to help in a fat loss regimen, but really what's behind it is calorie deficit. You can eat in a calorie surplus and then do cardio. You're not going to lose any fat. You'll actually gain fat still. You'll just gain less than if you hadn't done the cardio. You have to be in a calorie deficit, whether you want to do that through just being in a deficit or through cardio. You can do either. You can mix it up. Some days you cannot do cardio, some days you can. It doesn't matter as long as you're in that deficit, okay? So now I'm going to talk about misconceptions about certain things in the fat loss or fitness industry, specifically the fat loss, obviously. Things like spot reduction. People need to stop believing in spot reduction. And spot reduction is, let's say you want to burn belly fat and you just do a bunch of crunches, or you do an ab workout and you're going to burn calories there. That's not at all how it works, as well as the fact that to lose fat you have to be in a calorie deficit. So let's say a person is in a calorie deficit and they go and do an ab workout. Are they going to burn calories? Yes. Are they going to burn a significant amount where it's losing fat all over their body? No, not really. And as well as the fact that your body, it's not site specific. It doesn't just burn fat. Like if I do a curl, it's not just burning fat there. It's going to take it from all the other places that don't matter first, and then it's going to, at the very end of when you're getting lean, it's going to take it from your belly. So stop believing in spot reduction. It's not a thing. But I do have a certain study that I recently came across that doesn't prove spot reduction to be true, but it's something that may help with it, and I can link it to something I said earlier in the video, so stay tuned for that one. Another misconception is diets. Specific diets are not going to be some magic pill. I've made a video on the keto diet. Up here, I'll link it up there and down in the description, whatever, but diets don't make up you losing fat. It's not how it works. It's not how diets work. You need to be in a calorie deficit. Can these diets put you in a calorie deficit? Yes, they can, but a lot of them are not what they seem. Like keto, for example, it's when you lose the weight initially very quickly, it's actually just water weight. You don't lose practically any fat, because with fat loss, you have to be consistent, and it takes a long period of time. You have to be in that deficit. Now, these diets do put you in a deficit at some times, but it's not healthy for you to cut out certain things. That's why the calorie deficit is in just a balanced diet. That's what it's always been. Every single person's childhood, adulthood, doesn't matter. Balanced diet. You have a good amount of protein. You got your vegetables. You got your carbs. You got your fruits, your veggies. You got your dairy. Just a balanced diet. Obviously, that's going to be the most healthy for you. It's in the name. Balanced diet. It's going to be the most healthy. And going into a calorie deficit with that diet is going to obviously bring down your fat, as well as just keep you healthy and at a very optimal portion of your life, obviously. So another misconception is fasting and cheating diets. I've talked about fasting, which I will also link up right here and down in the description. And there is one pro to it, autophagy. Autophagy is where you burn dead cells, any dead cells, muscle cells, fat cells, or skin cells, blood cells, doesn't matter. They're just not working optimally. Your body will kill those cells off, and then when you go and eat again, your body will rapidly make new cells, which is actually very healthy for you, except for the fact that fasting itself, as in starving yourself for a certain amount of time, is not at all healthy for you. And your body, it doesn't contribute to fat loss anymore, just as something like empty stomach cardio does, and that's in the realm of fasting. Just because you do empty stomach cardio, which means you have no energy in your body, that you go and run cardio, your body's going to take away calories from fat. It might. I actually haven't read a lot of studies. It probably does, I would say. But as soon as you go and eat again, you're going to replenish and re-put the fat there. You see what I mean? And as well as the fact when you do empty stomach cardio, you're going to be very tired and you can't perform it optimally. Now, cheating. Diet cheating is where on one day, let's say every single day you're good on your diet except Sunday, you purposely go and eat just a shit ton of food, an absolute crap ton, unhealthy junk food, whatever you want, obviously, and as much as you want. This is not healthy, and I'm sure you understand that it's not healthy, but people need that to stay consistent, which I believe is just garbage. Why not pick a diet that you like and you don't need to cheat on it? The person that just avidly expresses this, Greg Doucette, go watch a lot of his videos. He's a person I learned a lot of what I know from, and he avidly tells people that why would you pick a diet that you obviously can't sustain for life? He himself has a diet that is amazing. I try most of his recipes. I use them all the time, and it actually made building muscle and losing fat way easier. So definitely check out his channel and his video, which I will put up here, I guess. And it just, why would you choose food that you don't like to where on a day you have to go and cheat? Because when you go and cheat, you're actually replenishing all the fat you may have lost. If in all those days you eat 1,500 calories and you're a 2,000 calorie maintenance, you just lost 1 pound of fat. But on the last day, you are not only losing, or you're gaining 500 calories back, you're gaining a bunch more. Maybe not to the extent of where you're completely replenishing all the fat you had lost throughout the week, but you're still putting yourself at such a negative point when you could have just not eaten a cheat day that day and you would have lost 1 pound and kept it at that, and then just do that every single day for as long as it takes until you're where you want to be. Cheating is not a valid answer, and it's not some prize at the end of the week. You just need to stay consistent, and that's really what it is. I can say all this stuff, I can give you all the tips and tricks, I can give you all the knowledge in the world, and unless you're disciplined and consistent, you're not going to lose any fat or do anything in the fitness industry for that matter. You have to be disciplined and consistent with anything in life, especially something like this that takes hard work. Discipline and consistency, okay? Whether it's calorie deficit, working out in the gym, cardio, it doesn't matter. You have to have those two things to be successful. But that's all I got on misconceptions. Next thing we're talking about is tricks. Tips and tricks. So, only thing that's going to get you to lose fat is a calorie deficit. But there are things that you can do that will kind of bolster your ability to continue doing a calorie deficit if you're having trouble doing it. You just want to see results really quickly. Okay, so gaining muscle. I already talked about how gaining muscle is going to basically boost your metabolism so you burn more calories throughout the day. That'll speed up your fat loss, obviously, a little bit. But there's another aspect to it. When you gain muscle, you're actually spreading the fat out. So if I have a really tiny arm and I have a lot of fat around it, if I gain muscle, my arm will get a lot bigger and it'll spread the fat out, making it appear as though I'm not actually as fat as I really am. And this really goes with abs, actually, because a lot of people, they want to lose fat so they can see their abs. If you train your abs and you get them so thick enough that the line doesn't get thick, it's just the ab part. So it'll start to thicken up. It's obviously not going to get that thick, but it'll thicken up just millimeter by millimeter, and eventually it'll start poking through the fat and it'll spread it out a little bit. It takes a lot of time to do that, but it is something that you can consider doing if you're right at that breaking point. You're in the like 15 to 20% where your abs are just like barely right there. You start training abs really hard, you'll thicken them up and it'll pop through the fat more, and they'll be easily accessible even through a lot of layers of fat. And then you can get lean down after that, because the more muscle you have in your abs, the more blood flow you're going to have there. The more blood flow, the more calories you're going to burn from there. And I already explained that. So I already talked about, the study I found on spot reduction. So I talked about how blood flow to a certain area is what makes you lose fat, which is true. So in theory, a lot of people think that if you go and do a bunch of sit-ups, you're going to burn fat in your stomach. You have to be in a calorie deficit for one, and you're not going to burn a lot of calories doing that. So what do? You do an ab workout in a calorie deficit, and then you go and do cardio with it, or you bring your cardio into your calorie deficit. And what this does is, since you're basically getting a pump, if people don't know what a pump is, it's where you get a lot of blood flow in an area, it gets kind of stuck, and it feels like a pump. I'm sure if you've gone to the gym, you felt it. It feels awesome. But you get it in your abs. It's that nice burning feeling, and you feel like you really accomplished something. It's very intense and hard, a hard-working feeling, you know? And if you do that in an ab workout, and then you go do cardio, you're having more blood flow to your abdominals. And then you're able to, when you go and do the cardio, you already have blood flow there. you're having more blood flow than you normally would, it would take more fat from there. Maybe not a significant amount, but maybe enough just to help you out a little bit more. And I'm actually going to be testing this and doing it myself, which I did yesterday. It was my first ab workout, and then I went and did a little bit of cardio afterwards. I ran home or whatever. So I'm going to be testing this out, and you guys feel free to follow along with me and see if it works. There's really no harm in doing it. You're getting some extra cardio in, which is obviously healthy for you. Cardio is good for your cardiovascular system, your heart, obviously. So it's not a bad thing. It could work, it could not work, but there's really no downside. There's only an upside. So it's a really good thing to attempt to try. I really recommend it. Next trick I'm going to be talking about is correct eating. Now, I made a video about this a very long time ago in the first parts of my channel, and it was within the realm of basically you eat certain foods first dependent upon what you want to do. So if you're in a fat loss state, you want to eat things with fiber and protein, and you want to drink a lot of water all the time. Because if you eat a lot of fiber, for people that don't know, fiber is going to fill you up the fastest and easiest with the least amount of calories. Protein also has this, but protein has more calories in it than, say, fiber would. So prioritize fiber over protein. But if you have a meal, for example, let's just, for example, chicken, broccoli, and rice. Eat as much broccoli as you can first, and then eat as much chicken as you possibly can, and then eat as much rice as you can. Not as much, obviously, but just to where you feel satiated. You're going to feel really satiated eating like that, instead of eating all the carbs first, because they're not going to fill you up as much, and then all the protein, and then all the fiber, because then you're going to have way more calories for not being as full. And also, drink water before every meal, because it'll fill your stomach up more without any calories at all. Water has no calories, so filling yourself up throughout the day will make it easier to stay on your diet, as well as doing the correct eating, which is eating fiber and protein before you eat something like carbs or any dessert or something like that. So really prioritize any fiber. What helps me a lot is snack foods. I have a really hard time snacking, so get snack fruits or vegetables. Grapes. I love grapes. Grapes are actually kind of high in calories per grape. It's 4 calories per grape, but you can only fit like 20 of them in. And it's a really nice little snack to have. It'll fill you up for a long period of time, as well as just drinking a good amount of water. And obviously they're really healthy. Any fruit or vegetable is healthy for you, and it'll really help you out. So definitely try that out. I know it works. It logically works. I just explained it to you. I'm sure you understand that it works. And it's kind of my own little thing I kind of came up with. It's actually one of the only things that I didn't get from somebody else or took the idea from or altered it. It's one of the only things that I actually came up with. So I definitely recommend trying that. It works for me fantastically. And it also works on the offside, as in you want to build muscle, eat as much protein as you possibly can, then eat as much carbs as you can, then eat as much vegetables as you can, because vegetables don't contribute to muscle growth as much as protein and carbs do, because carbs give you the energy, protein gives you the protein, obviously, and then you just need to drink water and have stimulus. So yeah, that's really all I got for this. I feel like it was very in-depth. If you appreciated the video, please, I'd really appreciate you subscribing, hitting the bell button, liking the video, commenting if you had any questions at all or anything to add. I would really appreciate it. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I'm really good with commenting back on other people that comment on my videos. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one, and see ya.